Welcome to the Karen Kenney Show. Hey, you guys, welcome to the Karen Kenney Show. I'm so happy to have you here. I have no idea what I'm going to call this sucker. I have no idea what I'm going to call this episode, but I do know that I want to talk to you about an experience that I had this past weekend and how he got me thinking about certain things, and maybe some of these things you will find helpful. And that's always like one of the heartbeats of this is that I always say I'm not here to tell you people will often say about me, like, you tell it how it is. Like, you tell it like it is, you tell it how it is, right? They like that about my personality or whatever. But really, I tell it like I see it. It doesn't mean I tell it like it is. I just kind of tell it like I see it. And I think that's one of the gifts of any kind of coach or mentor or teacher or artist or writer or whatever, is that we are sharing our particular point of view. Maybe something that we saw in a particular way from our perspective might help you to shift your own, might cause you to laugh or make you go, oh my God, I never thought of it that way, or that's interesting, or whatever, right? I always say, I'm not here to tell you what to think. I'm inviting you to think for yourself. But I'm just kind of sharing some thoughts that I had, some perspectives that I had over this past weekend. So some of you may know that my sweetie, Chris Lester, my husband, Chris Lester, is a professional musician. And he's a multi-instrumentalist. He plays like bass, and he's mostly a guitar player, but he's guitar, he plays bass. He can play keyboards, he can play mandolin, he can play a little bit of drums, all this stuff, right? He's also a singer, and he's a songwriter, and he's a producer. He's he's wicked nice, and he's wicked talented. That's my sweetie in a nutshell, right? So he had a gig this past weekend. And some of you local New England people, like and beyond, you may have heard of a band called, they've sold millions and millions of records, so you may have heard of a band called Godsmack. And the lead singer of Godsmack is a guy named Sully Erna. And Sully Erna is from my hometown, my city, little city, Lawrence, Massachusetts. So I knew Sully as kids. But when Sully was asked to do a solo project with Sully, like, Sully didn't know that he and I were married, this whole thing, right? Okay, so Sully had a gig at Mohegan Sun, the casino in Connecticut, this past weekend. And he asked my sweetie, they're friends, right? My sweetie has played on his solo work, like Avalon and all this stuff. And, he's written songs together, blah, blah. So he asked my sweetie to come and play bass at this gig. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go. Because I normally never go anywhere. When you go, now we're down to 3 furry kids. But in the past, we've had up to 7 furry kids. And it's just like impossible unless you bring somebody in to kind of like house sit and take care of everything. But this time I'm like, I'm going to go. This is going to be fun. I haven't been away or done anything in a wicked long time. And I'm like, let's do it. So off we go. My sister came and she watched the kids. And we left. Okay. But here's the point, and this is probably going to be a short one because it's just as a particular point or point of view that I want you to just kind of think about. So we get to the casino. Now, I used to live in LA. I lived in California, and I will never forget that the first time for my birthday, my friends, I worked at a magic dinner theater called Wizards up at Universal City Walk, and I had the best friends in the world. And my friends basically literally surprised me and kidnapped me. Like after work one night, they're like, I'll drive you home. And I was like, okay, whatever. And so I got a ride with my friends. And when I got to the house, my other friends followed them in their car. And they're like, go inside and pack a bag. I'm like, what are you talking about? They're like, we're taking you to Vegas. It was like my first time ever to Las Vegas. And what a trip it was. Okay. So I've been to Vegas. I've been to multiple casinos. I worked like at my work at Wizards. I used to date a magician. And so he loved going to Vegas and going to see the magic shows and Cirque du Soleil. And of course he dealt in up close magic. So he was like a wizard with cards and stuff. So like playing blackjack, all that stuff. So I got schooled on Vegas, right? I like saw the devil's playground, Sin City, up close and personal. Okay. So here we are. We're at the Mohegan Sun in Connecticut. Okay. So this past weekend, so fast forward. So I'm not a stranger. I guess what I'm trying to say is I'm not a stranger to casinos, but it's been a wicked long time since I've been in one. So we walk into the place and immediately I'm just like, holy shit. First of all, like the mass scale of like casinos is like unbelievable. And these are things we all already know. It's not like I'm going to be, unless you've never, ever, ever been to a casino before, this is probably not going to be like new information in a way. But something I want us to consider. So I walk into the place, and the first thing I just see is just like, it is sensory overload. And it is designed to be that way. So you basically have like all the sights, like you're taking in so much color. You're seeing flashing lights, right? Then it's all the sounds. It's like the chirping of the slot machines, like the dinging and the pinging and the noise of the people and like music coming out of like the restaurant. Like it is just like sensory overload of sights, smells, sounds. Like there's different textures. Some surfaces are shiny, some are really tall, some are really big, and they're designed in such a way where there's no windows. Like the outside world does not exist. You have now entered a new zone. It's like that Hotel California song. Like you can check out anytime you like, but you can never leave. It's kind of like this surreal experience. There's no clocks on the walls because they don't want you to know the time. Like they're pumping in smells. They're like, everything, olfactory terrorists. Like they're doing all of these things to keep you in this stream of incessant consumption. And I was just like blown away. And I'm looking around and I'm like, everything is just like a lot. There's like a lot of sights, a lot of sounds, a lot of bodies, a lot of humans, a lot of noise, a lot of traffic. And the way this particular casino was set up, it's like all the shops like line the outer rim of the buildings. And then right down the middle of the spaces, you have like the casino, like you have the where blackjack is being played, where the slots are being played or whatever. So you have like all this opportunity for consumption, food, restaurants, overpriced shops, like, get a little, we got little vegan ice creams from Ben and Jerry's, like smalls, and it was like $20, right? It's like, oh my God, everything is big, overpriced, in your face, sensory, like da 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 da. It's like, holy shit, right? And you're just looking at all these different kinds of people. And you're walking by a bar and you look over and there's like literally women like scantily clad, like dancing on top of the bar. And then it's just like so insane. It's so insane. And it's also like hyper electric. So even though, like, I was thinking about this. So my sweetie played this show, right? And just stay with me. I'm going to make a point. I'm going to buckle up, buckle up, take the ride with me. So my sweetie was playing at this kind of outside venue, and it was a sold out show, like 3,000 plus people, whatever. And out there, it was like, okay, like I literally walked outside and I could literally feel my nervous system just like do a different thing. I'm like, I could see the sky. I could like, fresh air. There was sunshine. It was a little humid, but I'm like, okay, like now at least, even though I'm in like this concrete parking garages next to us and all this stuff, like at least I'm outside and I have glimpses of nature and I could feel like my nervous system just kind of like calm down a little bit. And then we just went backstage to like where like the green room. It wasn't behind the stage, but consider it like a backstage area where like the green room where the artists go. And you walk in and it's like quiet, right? Because it's private. And like so I had these moments where I could have major comparison between the overstimulation and then like, okay, these pockets of peace, this momentary pause where I could kind of like gather myself and come back to myself. And you just realize that I was thinking about, I'm like, this is like a dopamine carnival. Like everything is about getting that immediate fix, that immediate hit, that little reward center. Like the reward center in your brain is like being sucked into like temptation. And there's a line in A Course in Miracles, and it's not related to this, but I'm going to say there's a line in A Course in Miracles that says, beware the temptation to perceive yourself unfairly treated. And it's basically talking about how the ego loves to take its own guilt and like throw it on other people. Because then if the guilt is out there and the other person wronged you and did something to you, then you get to be the innocent one. And it's this really interesting concept, right? But the whole time I'm like walking through this joint and like the streams of traffic, like there's people everywhere, all shapes, sizes, colors, races, whatever. I'm pretty sure I saw a few working girls, you know. I'm pretty sure I saw a few like escorts, male escort. I'm like, I'm looking around, I'm just like, oh my God, it is so over the fucking top. And it's like, Ben and Jerry's is open till like 3 a.m. It's like this mini city that doesn't sleep. And the show was fantastic. P.S. Sully and my sweetie and the other musicians did an amazing job. It was such a blast. The crowd was amazing. But even in the crowd, right? Like even in the crowd, the show hadn't even started yet. And like, because we had friends in the audience and it was all standing room only, right? So everybody's like packed in. So it's just like this pulsing energy of humans. And then it's like somebody had already like puked and made a mess. And then in the middle of the show, somebody else started a fight. And I'm like, people are out of their minds right now, right? And it's like, but then like the pulse of the music starts. And I'm like, oh, here's the human element making music. Right. And again, we're outside, at least like it was raining. So I'm like, okay, there's natural element. Right. So I'm like, okay, this was the reprieve. But as soon as the show was over, like great success. And then we had to cut back through, right, the casino to get up to our rooms. And as soon as you walk in, you're hit with like this wall of sound and smell and sensory, like blah, 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 blah. And we also got a free pass, right? So you get like the all access pass. So like we went downstairs. We could have eaten anywhere. What we were like, oh, we're going to go check this out. So I used to be in the hotel business a long time ago. I was a concierge at the Hyatt Regency in Cambridge. If you've ever been to Boston, I went to BU, so the Charles River, and right across the river, if you look, it's like this, like kind of like step pyramid shaped building. That's the Hyatt Regency. And I worked in the hotel business, so I know back of house stuff. Like I kind of know how these things work. But going like behind closed doors and having access to the employee cafeteria, like even the cafeteria, it was like, holy shit. Like you go through those doors and down into like this subworld, right? And it's like, there were like employees playing ping pong and like games like over there. And you go through this maze of like going under the casino. And one of the employees told us that you can take where we were and walk a half a mile. Like that's how big this place is, a half a mile to go down to the other casino because there's two casinos there. But we walked into the employee, cafeteria. And even that was overwhelming. There were like all these machines. You could get like 8 kinds of milk and 7 kinds of juice and like 15 kinds of soda. And then there was like a pizza station and a substation and a lot of dead animal products right over here and 5 kinds of cake and cookies. And I was just like, oh my God. And I could see my sweetie. He get a little, it's not disoriented, but he like, it takes him a moment. Like his processing system is like standing there just trying to like take it all in. And I was like, holy shit, like even underground is like big and overwhelming and so much stimulus. Okay. Why am I telling you all of this? Because even though it seems like this is a very isolated and special kind of circumstance. Well, of course, KK, you've gone to a casino. What do you expect? We all know that people are going to stay up late. People are going to spend money. People are going to overindulge. People are going to whatever, right? It is a relentless den of temptation. We know this. But what occurred to me while I was there, and it was so interesting because at one point Sully said over the mic, like, I hope you all have a blast this weekend. We're here because this show in particular is a celebration of music and, how meaningful music is to all of us. And he said, have fun this weekend. And then he literally said, but please don't lose your kids' college money while you're here. And he's like, don't do it, people. Don't do it. And, everybody laughed, but it's like that kind of shit happens because people go, if you have any kind of like addictive tendency, Like the casinos is like your spot. If you're gonna overeat, if you're gonna overspend, if you're gonna overindulge, if you're gonna get hooked on the machines, get that dopamine hit, that chance of like pulling. It's like pulling the lever for possibility, right? And it like keeps you in that loop. And I started thinking about it. Here's finally my point. And if you're still here, thank you for hanging in here. I just started thinking, I was like, this is exactly what like the world kind of is right now. It is a mass of overconsumption. We are being bombarded from so many different angles because of technology, because of AI, because of social media. It is so easy to move away from the natural world, nature, humans, humanity, literally your own heartbeat, your own breath, your own body, your own experience. It's so easy to get distracted by 18,000 other things. Buying shit online, getting lost on your phone. Like, if you really realize how much time you spent on your phone, like, really clocked it and tracked it. I'm not saying everybody, but most average people are so lost in their phones. They are so addicted to the technology. And in fairness, they designed this shit this way. The people who are doing these things and creating the programs and creating Instagram and creating Facebook and creating TikTok and creating like reels and all the stuff, they did it from a gaming perspective. They basically took Vegas and they took casinos and they took that experience and they put it on your phone and they put it in your pocket. And we are a highly, highly, highly distracted society. And it's only getting worse. And when you go to a place where it is literally, I said, oh my God, I said to my sweetie, this is like social media and the phone and consumerism, that capitalistic kind of overconsumption made into a place. I'm like, yes, Vegas came first, like before the phones, and the phones became like, the phones, I should say, Vegas informed the identity and the creation of these technologies. But what's interesting is you can keep that on your phone in your pocket, but these places are like the personification, like the in-person experience of what is actually happening. And we look at this little phone and we don't take it that seriously sometimes. We're like, oh yeah, I know I should put it down. Like, I know. No, you don't know, you understand. But you have not embodied the knowing, or you would be horrified by like what's going on. So my message today is about really taking a moment to get really fucking honest with yourself about just how distracted you might be in your day-to-day life. All the different ways you are getting pulled out of your humanity, like your desire to connect with others face to face, to relate to other people, to build relationships and collaborations, to get outside in nature, to appreciate the wonders of this world, the natural world, the animals and the rivers and the sun and the stars and the trees and the grass and, all that stuff. How easily distracted we are by trying to be more, do more, get more, have more. Consume, consume, consume. I'm like, no, how about like we slow down and create some shit, right? How about we get in touch with that? And I'm not shaking my finger at like you guys, like you need to do this. This was a wake up call for me too. This was another chance for me to like check in and say like, hey, where have you been distracted lately? What has been maybe consuming your attention or your time that no longer deserves it? Maybe it never deserved it, right? Because the casino for me is just a metaphor of what's happening all the time right in front of our face. But it's so much more sophisticated, and it's so much more sneaky, and it's so much more like disguised as something else. And we can totally convince ourselves, oh yeah, no, just one more video or just one more email or just one more text or just one more thing, and then I'll do this thing, you know? And I just was really I was really struck by the in your face relentless temptation to be distracted from what really matters. And I guess that's the heartbeat of what I'm kind of trying to get at. Like, what and who in your life really matters, and how much time and attention and energy and effort and intention. Like, are you being intentional with what you're doing? Do you know who you are? Do you know what you're doing? And do you know why you're doing it? Or have you been numbed and lulled by this dopamine overload, this hit of like reward that these, like I'm holding up my phone and shaking it, that these things do, that the world does, that social media does, and technology does, and AI does, like all these things that is kind of pulling us out of ourselves because the world is moving at such a fast clip and there's so much information coming at us, and we don't need more information. We do not need more information. What we need to do is take some of the things that we already know and go deep on them and start living them and applying them. And I can tell you, as a coach and a mentor, I can deliver all the tools to somebody. I can point out, I can say like, hey, here's some things that I'm seeing. Hey, here's some patterns. Hey, you told me this. Here are some things to help. Da 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 da. You know, my sweetie said to me today, it was so funny. We were talking about this, and it's like, you know, and we all know you can't make people do anything. You can't make people, you know, people will say they want change. They say they want change, but they don't want to do the change, right? They don't want, people want change, but they don't want to change, right? To actually do it. And he was talking and he just said, you know, the hammer is sitting right there at Home Depot. But like you got to go in and buy the hammer and then you got to bring it home and then you got to use it. It doesn't do any good to buy the hammer and then to set it down on the workbench, but never pick it up and start hammering things, you know, not building things. And we do this a lot. We think like, oh, it's like we get tricked into thinking that, oh, I bought the book and then I read the book and I'm like, but what did you do with the information in the book? What was the intimacy level? Did you think about it? Did you talk about it? Did you write some notes? Did you change your behavior? Because otherwise, what's the point in just gathering, consuming, consuming, consuming? And that's the thing that I often wonder, you know, when I have gone to Vegas in the past, I mean, I grew up playing cards, playing 45s, Merrimack Valley, all, you know, Lawrence, Methuen, Andover, North Andover kids. We all grew up Lowell, Haverhill. We all played 45s like growing up, right? It's a card game for those of you who don't know. So I grew up around cards and I learned to play blackjack. I could play blackjack, but that wasn't the thing for me when I would go to these places. And I'm very, very, very lucky that I can go into a place like a Vegas or a casino or whatever, and I can play slots, right? But I'll give myself a limit. Like I'll say, okay, I'm not willing to lose more than $200. I'm not $20 or $40 or 60, whatever the amount would be, right? So back in the day. So when I would go to Vegas, I'd say, okay, I'm not willing to lose more than $100. But I knew how to walk away. And I knew how to walk away when I was up and wasn't chasing that feeling, wasn't chasing, because that's the thing. They hook you. They're not stupid. And again, they're pumping in the sense. They're distracting you with a sense of time. So you lose sense of time, right? They're using certain lights and stimulants. They're not stupid. It's a whole racket. It's a whole racket, right? But here's my point. I was able to get up and like walk away from things. You've got to be super duper aware in this day and age, the things you cannot walk away from, your addictive tendencies. All of this to say is you have got to know yourself. And I think one of the biggest things that I find in the work that I do with humans is that a lot of people have not spent as much time. I'm like, if you spend as much time thinking about yourself, getting curious about why you do what you do, think what you think, say what you say, believe what you believe, tell the stories that you tell, why you insist on holding on to that old grievance, why you want to keep that person guilty so that you can, in your own mind, again, beware the temptation to perceive yourself as, unfairly treated or right. So it's like, if we spent as much time as we do on our phones, right, being distracted, and that's the other thing. What are you distracting yourself from? These are all really good questions to be asking. What's pulling my attention away? Why am I allowing myself to be distracted? Where's the fear coming from? Because it all comes down to the basics of love and fear. I always say you're either running away from something or you're running towards something. And it's so easy to get distracted from your life's work and your life's purpose and the people that really matter and the things that really matter by these little blips and beeps and games and social media and the likes and the comments and the whatever. And it's all such a racket. It is all such a racket. And I just think to myself, how many people are going to end up on their deathbed and be like, shit, I never lived my life because I was hypnotized by these fucking phones and I was distracted from what really matters in my life. So this is just, and listen, everything I say is for my ears too. All the ways that we are distracted by the unimportant bullshit, glittery, flashing things, the things that we think make us special. Well, if I just buy this car or have this house or have, that's why all the coaches are like, I can teach you to have 10K months. I can teach you to fill your program to whatever with just blah, 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 blah. I'm like, oh, we're just outside the carnival hawking wares now. We just got the person with the hat and the stick spinning it around selling me your shit. So much in this world, you guys. And I'm a positive person. I can see good and beautiful and holy just about anywhere. But I'm also, I'm not. I'm not asleep at the wheel. I see how much shit is just a racket and a distraction. And here's what I know. You were put on this planet for a reason because you have something to offer the world. You have something that the world needs. You have a gift, you have a talent, you have an insight, you have a point of view, you have a tender heart, you have a big heart, you have a servant's heart. There's a reason why you are here. And I would love for us to stop the overconsumption, the overconsuming, the distractions, and let's get to work. Let's get down to business. Let's remember who we are and why we're here. And under, our identity is who we are, is simply love. And why are we here? To extend that love, to get better at giving and receiving that stuff. That's the gig, no matter the title. And if more people made love the bottom line instead of money, we would live in a totally different world. If more people made people and their well-being the bottom line, rather than selling their products, we would have a totally different world. So again, I still don't even know what I'm going to call this thing. This episode is a little stream of consciousness, but I was just like, I want to talk about this because this was such an in-your-face reminder of how distracted we've become as a society and how numb we have become and why we're willing to tolerate such bullshit and horror. Like when we look at so much of what's happening in the world, right? The way that and again, you don't have to like me when I say these things, right? You don't have to agree with me, but where the current administration is taking things, this is really, you guys, we've got to fucking wake up. And that's what I'm saying. We all have gifts. We all have ways. And I always say, I can't make the president or, the government do anything. I get to use my voice when I vote. But I get to ask myself in my day-to-day life, am I being purposeful in the direction of why I think I'm here, right? Am I using my gifts in service to love? Or am I too distracted by my phone to get out there and do anything about anything? Am I too distracted by, social media and by, all the stuff? And so I don't know. I'm just really feeling the call to get back to the heartbeat of things. And so here are the questions. Have you been distracted? If you've been distracted, by what or who? What really matters? And are you giving your time, your energy, and your resources to the people and the things that actually really matter to you? And where are you maybe overdoing it, spending too much time, right? Or eating too much, drinking too much, whatever the thing is. I'm not judging anybody, but these are questions for you to ask yourself and to get really, really, really real with yourself. Have a little come to Jesus moment, as we sometimes say. Look in the soul mirror. You know what I'm saying? In 12-step programs, they say, take a fearless moral inventory. And don't do it from a place of attack and judgment and making yourself wrong or to go into shame and blame and guilt. That's not what this is about. This isn't about feeling guilty. And if you love going to casinos and you have extra money to blow and that's your thing, great. I'm not judging you. I'm like, just know what you're doing and why you're doing it. Be self-aware enough to understand when your spirit self is in charge and making good decisions, and when your ego self has grabbed the wheel and is driving you towards all of the shit that's not going to be helpful for you or any. Oh, you know it's going to help. It's going to help the casino make a shit ton of money off you. It's going to help Zuckerberg, and it's going to help, Bezos, and it's going to help Musk and all those guys make a shit ton. Let the billionaires just keep making more money off of us. It's just insane, right? So it's like, let's just get honest. Let's take a good gander around. It's a good opportunity, right? We're in September, like the end of the year is coming up. 2026 is going to be here before we know it. And so just like, just notice the ways that we get distracted, get clear about what matters, and let's move back in the direction of focusing on those things and those people, maybe those projects, whatever it is. Because the world needs you. We need your insights. It's like me on this podcast, like sharing my perspective, my point of view, what's on my hat, what's on my mind. I do this in case it's helpful to somebody else, right? And sharing like spiritual concepts and sharing stories, because this is part of what I'm called to do. I always say, like, even though I'm introverted, people often don't believe me, but like, I'm like, I got the gift of gab for a reason. I'm a communicator. I'm a storyteller, right? I mean, that's why I love to write and to speak. I love to share what's on my heart in hopes that it might land in somebody else or inspire somebody else. Not that I'm the inspiration, but it might literally like breathe life into an idea or a concept or a new way of being or thinking for somebody else, that they get curious, that they really take the time. They don't just listen and then go. And that's the other thing with this show. If I say like, hey, stop, hit pause, ask yourself these questions, I hope you really do them. I hope you give yourself the opportunity to get to know yourself better and to ask yourself these things. Because it's important. Because guys, I saw one of my mentors the other day. He had a book signing and a book reading, his new book that came out. And I was looking at him in wonder. And he's like in his 80s now. And I'm thinking to myself, how much more time does he have on the planet? And I think back to like how many people he's helped and what a legacy. And I don't think legacy of just like your kids and your business, like what he has left in his trail, like what he has left in his wake is so many incredible stories that like have touched people's hearts and moved people. And I think, man, what a life to have left so much love behind. Like that's what I'm going for. You know what I mean? Like I'll never have buildings named after me. I don't have children to carry on my name and my legacy and whatever. Maybe I'll leave some books behind, but my hope is that I've left a legacy of love. That I don't know. I don't know what people are going to say about me when I'm gone. Some people might be happy when I drop dead. A few people will be sad. But hopefully, that's the thing. With the time I have left, I really want to be helpful and be of service. So, all right. Thank you so much for tuning in. I love you and I appreciate you. And I hope this has landed in some way and got you thinking. And then maybe it will help some of us to course correct if we've lost our way a little bit, if we've been kind of dopamined into oblivion, and distracting. So beware the temptations. Beware the temptations, because they're out there and they are not trying to help you. They're trying to keep you from remembering yourself and keep you from doing what you came here to do. So maybe that's what I'll call this sucker. Beware the temptation. Okay. I appreciate you. I love you. Thanks for being here. Wherever you go, may you leave yourself and the animals and the people and the place and the environment, right? The whole planet. May it be better for you having been here. May you leave it better than how you found it. And wherever you go, may you and your energy and your presence and your love be a blessing. Bye.